So when were you born? 1936?
Yeah. In Titchbourne Terrace. And the photograph in the bathroom was taken a year before when we lived there then.
That in Tishbourne Terrace? So as you... Where was Tishbourne Terrace? Is that Everton?
In Brunswick Road.
So that near town?
That's right, yeah. In well, Everton area. Yeah. Not far from Everton Road.
So when... So after you were born, what was the next sort of big event? Did you go to school? So because obviously war broke out, what, 3 years after, when you were 3, wasn't it?
Yeah, we used to go around collecting shrapnel.
How old were you then?
Hello, when we were collecting shrapnel, I'd be about 4 or 5.
Okay, so literally during the war?
Yeah.
I always thought that was after the war.
Oh no, we used to have, I mean, every now and again the sirens would go and you'd have to get outside and get into one of the shelters that was aligned to you, you know. We shared the shelter with the people next door, and I think there'd be finished up about 10 people or more in the shelter. Sometimes you have bunks there, with about 2 or 3 kids on the top bunk.
So when did you get evacuated then?
First time when I was 4, I went to Wales, and there was a lad there with no fingers on one hand, and he taught me how to tie shoelaces. I couldn't tie my own shoelaces. And the toilets were about 5 minutes walk outside in the best farm where we were staying.
Did you go with any of your family or just you?
Just me and my mum. I was the youngest then. And then later on we got moved to, we came home, we went back, there was a lot of big explosions in where we were living, in Clifford Street. A lot of houses were getting blown up. And we went to another place, I can't remember where it was. But that was another like farm type place. We stayed there for a couple of weeks and then came home.
Alright. So well, did you come back home to Liverpool before the war ended?
No, the war was still on when we got back to, well it was near ending. It was just about easing down. But then I started going to school then, but I went to so many schools. We moved from school to school, because my mum always moved the houses. I mean, one day you'd come home and your mum say, okay, grab this, grab that, and we're moving. We moved to so many houses, I don't know why.
So you didn't start school till after you'd been evacuated and came back home again?
Yeah, came home and then started school, yeah. I started one in Everton Road, I don't know the name of it. And then we went to St Teresa's.
This one?
Yeah.
Alright.
We moved up here, we moved to 116 up here. We lived there for a couple of years and I went to St Teresa's. And I got on well in St Teresa's. I got made vice captain of the class. It was mixed classes then. And then my mum wanted to move down with her mum, my nan. So we moved back down to Liverpool, into town, in Lowood Street. But before that, when we were all evacuated after the evacuation, I forgot to tell you, we all went to Rill. We were in a cabin in Rill, a raised cabin. And one night we heard a horse going round and round the cabin and someone banging on the door and then stopping and then banging and stopping. So when my mum finally opened the door, it was my dad. He'd been blown up. He'd had an accident. He was defusing a bomb and it had blown out his legs. So she dragged him in and he stayed for about a couple of days. Then he went back to the army. And then we used to go swimming in the river there, paddling and swimming. And Matty near drowned and Eddie Halligan saved him, dragged him out of the water and that. Took him home. When he got home, for some reason he drank bleach. So they rushed him to hospital and the doctor said it's never known, it's the first time that anyone has been dead for 3 minutes, and he brought him back. And then we came back to Liverpool and then we went to Loyal. We had a big house in Loyal, and the Alligans that we knew in Wales, my mum let them live in the house with us, and they had part of the house and we had part of the house.
Is this in Everton again?
No, this is in Loyal. you know, well, it's not far from Everton. It's not north. And you know, like Kensington, corner of Kensington, we lived there. And then in Kensington, what no one can find since, on the corner of Kensington there was a broad walk, all wooden broad walk, steps going up, and there was 4 shops there. And then as we grew up, I went into racing, come out of racing. When I got home, I got papers you'd called up, went down to town near the station, and we had to queue up and sign to show your paperwork and all that. And while I was in the queue, one fella said to me, "You're in the wrong queue, lad, you're over there." So I took it as that, so I went, got near the queue, give me papers in, she said, "You're 18? I said, "Yeah." She said, "You're in the wrong queue, that's the queue, this is the boys' army."
Because you look so young.
Yeah, so I goes in the other one, and the big fella that was standing next to me said, "Are you 18? I said, "Yeah." So anyway, I got sent to Lancaster Fusiliers. And it sounds like an idiot thing to have it, but we're in it. I didn't like the idea, you know, the rifle, the 303, I couldn't use it. The Bren and the Sten guns, no problem. But when we were in the barracks, Paul, Arthur had been in the army before, he told me about bombing your boots and all that business, like. And one of the lads said to me, what they call a barrack room lawyer, "Do you know, if you don't like this place, you can go down, sign up for another year, and they've got to put you where you ask." So as I was talking, there was 5 of us. We're all supposed to be going into the veterinary corps. There was Nobby Clark, Smudge Smith, Miller. I can't remember the others, but there was 5 of us all together. So we were all talking. We said, "I'm going down."
Was Bill Redhead one of them? Or was that later on?
No, Bill Redhead, we met them later on. Anyway, we gets down. I had a meeting with the commanding officer, and he said, "What's this all about?" And he said, "You talk to him." So I said, "We've been told, sir, that if we sign on for another year, we can pick whatever regiment we want to go in." "That's true." "You sure you want to sign on?" We all went, "Yeah, we want to sign on." We didn't like where we were. So we got the paperwork out and said, "Yeah, sign there. And then he got a cabinet behind and pulled these papers out, and he said, "Give me your names again." And he said, "Are you James Sime?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You're in the veterinary corps?"
Oh.
I said, "No, mate, no, this is only 6 weeks basic training." So he went through the 5 of us were in there for basic training, that's all. So then we got moved to Melton Mowbray for the veterinary corps. Went down and we exercised a few horses. And when we first got down there, me and Nobby Clark, had been riding before, but some of the others hadn't. So we said there was 24 of us, all mount. And some of the flats had never been on a horse before, to me mount. So we got them all on the horses, walked them slowly round a crush. So they walked them slowly round a crush, and then he cracked along on a big whip. Bodies were flying left, right, and centre. And Clarky and myself, we stayed on and pulled up, and we dismounted and we all lined up again. And he said, "All those that can ride, step forward." So me and Nobby stepped forward. We thought we were on a good soft thing here. Okay, he said, "Now, right, everybody into the indoor arena." So we all goes into the indoor. And he said, "Simon Clark, mount." And I said, "There's no saddle, sir." He said, "Mount, and don't call me sir, I'm a sergeant." So we finally got on the horses, walking round. And then he said, "Trot." And no saddles on, and you're slipping and sliding. But they had a thing going round the horse's girth. You could hold on to one little thing going round. Then come to a jump, and he said, "Jump." Well, the jumps were only 18 inches high. I fell off. Nobby Clark fell off. And then the sergeant rode back and forwards over our hats. And then he said, "Right, dismount, line up." And then he said, we had to pick the hats up, they're all crushed. He said, "All those that can ride, step forward." In other words, we didn't step forward, because we'd been told we were there to exercise the colonel's horses and the officers' horses and all that. Anyway, they said, okay, we had to go and pay 7 and 6 for a new hat. For us, that was a lot of money. So we bought new hats, and then the next morning they said, all down, go down to the dog school. So we goes down there, and believe me, I have never been so terrified in my life, because there's this dog jumping up things, snarling and biting, and he decided to give me a lead. He said, take it for a walk. And I said, I can't go in there. He said, take it for a walk. So got the dog out, put the lead on. I says, pine and walking around. So we exercised the dogs. So we thought this was a punishment for the riding thing, you know, we're going to go back to the riding school. Then we got sent to the main camp. We were in the main camp, and we mixed it with fellas from different parts, you know. And then it came over on the news that we were all going abroad, and we were going abroad to different places. Nobby Clark and a few of the others went to, I forget where it was, they went one place, and then a gang of us was going to Hong Kong, and they put us in separate billets then to get used to each other. That's where I met Bill Redhead. Well, then they said, right, you're going, you're flying out, but you've got to go out in civvies. But you carried an army satchel. Makes sense.
Why did that go out in civvies?
Because no forces were allowed to go through India. Because we had to go. We stopped over at Calcutta and a few places. Stopped overnight because it took a long while to get to. Eventually, we got to Singapore, and then we were in Singapore in a transit camp. And we thought this was nice. We went down to there's a big pool there. We went down to a pool. We were swimming, and that was the first time we thought it must be easy to dive. But all of us had been swimming, so Bill Redhead went on the top 30 foot and dived. So we all thought we'll do it. My head was aching for ages, but as we're getting out the pool, this staff sergeant come and he said, what are you doing here? I said, swim. This is for officers only. Get out. So we got out and we were walking down. This was in Singapore transit camp, walking down. And we were all talking. We said, I thought we were going to Hong Kong. But to change the rules, we're in here now. So we had to do guard duties and things like that. And there was a lot of rabid dogs going round, attacking things and whatever. And the staff sergeant said, right, Andy Davis was, in our estimation, very posh. He spoke posh, and acted posh. And he gave Andy and me, he gave Andy the gun to shoot any dogs we found. So me and Andy got on well then. From that day on, we just, all the way into the army, got on well there. Andy said, yeah, Jim, we'll go down here. We seen a dog, and it was attacking I think it was a cat or something, but it was snarling and it was frothing to come out. So he said, right, you shoot it. I said, I'm not shooting it. You've got the gun, you shoot it. So we threw stones at it, chased it away. When we went back, the staff sergeant said, did you get any? He said, we didn't see any. Give him the gun back, so that was it. And then they had a fella going round, and he used to come and stand on top of the hill, and he'd shout, "Tea-walla." And then he'd come down with this canteen, you'd have tea and biscuits off him, you know, whatever. But he introduced us to a fortune teller. So I went and seen this fortune teller, and he told me things that had happened, which was true. And then he said to me, you're going on a long journey over water. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. That was it. And I went back, and he said, don't tell anybody what I told you, it's private. So I said, okay. Well, a few of them went, and Bill Redhead said, you're not supposed to tell you this, but we're going on a long journey over water. And we were all laughing our heads off. How stupid can you get? The next morning, pack your bags, you're going to Hong Kong on the HMS Fowey. So we all packs our bags, gets on the HMS Fowey, and believe me, we'd never been on a boat before where as you're walking down the stairs, they disappear, or when you're walking up the stairs, they disappear up and down. And we went into to get our meals, and everyone on board looked as if they were pirates. One fellow had a patch over his eye, one fellow had scars all over his face. And we were only 18, we thought, what the hell we got into? Anyway, a lot of the lads were a bit sick over the side all the time, but we managed to go for our meal. And then after the meal, we went to the bar, and we got a drink. And there was a fella standing near me, and he tapped me on the shoulder. He said, are you a Scouser? I said, yeah. He said, well, look, lad, look the other way for a minute. So I just turned me back, looked the other way. Smithy, Bill Redhead, and Andy standing by the bar drinking. Well, they just got the drinks. Next minute they went, oh, and they just flew out. He said, you can turn round now, Scout. And I turned round. What's all that about? He said, free drinks there if you want it, lad. What happened to that? What happened? And he was always chewing on a piece of string. And I said, what's all that about? And he went, watch, it's going to make you sick. He pulled the string, and at the end of the string was a big piece of juicy fat, all dripping. I knew what to expect then. But later on when we were all talking about it, he said, you stay at the bar? I said, yeah. How come? I said, he told me what he was going to do. He didn't tell me what he was going to do, but he told me he was going to be nasty in a while. Anyway, the fellow wasn't that big, and we were saying, one of the lads saying, I'm going to knock his head off and this, that, and the other. Short story is, 2 years later we found out he was the champion boxer of the Far East.
Oh.
So, just a bit in case we'd had any of that. Anyway, when I got to Hong Kong, Arthur was in the glass house. They were all the kings were coming home then. They'd finished their tour, they were coming home. And I never got to see Arthur. Arthur was there when I was there. But getting to, when we first flew out, we stopped at Calcutta, and we'd never seen anywhere where we, the cows are in your path. You got to walk around and they're sacred, couldn't touch the cows. Then we went into the Grand Hotel, and every person that stands behind you when you're getting served, it's got big sashes on and these turbans on, and they're all about 6 foot. So this is in the Grand Hotel, they give us our meals. I'm getting it back to front, but this is before we got to Hong Kong. They give us our meals, and I put the knife and fork down to pick something up, and a hand come up, took it away, and put the sweet there, and I never had any to eat. And all the lads were hanging on to the knives and forks then. Then we found out that what they told us, if you put your knife and fork down on the plate, with the knife facing out, you've finished your meal. That's what they told us. So we took it away. So we had a meal, but then we went to another place after Calcutta, and there was we thought there was a pool there in the night time. We went into this pool and we were swimming. And we banged our head. It was a really small square pool, and it was that hot, it was gating. Gets up, smashing. We found out we'd been swimming in the water we were drinking. It was the reservoir for the water. And then early in the following morning, about 5 o'clock, we heard someone, everybody out, everybody out. So we're all getting out. I couldn't find Bill Reddit, so we all shot out and got all ready. Like. It was Bill Reddit going round shouting everybody out. Everyone got dressed too early. And the staff started and said, what's happened? I said, don't know. We'd all said, he said, I heard it. And Bill Reddit said, I heard it. So we all got dressed and got on the transport back to the airport, and we flew out. Now when we were in Hong Kong, you're not supposed to drink in an out of bounds area. But when we first got there, they said to us, when you're going into town, be very careful, because the war had only been over then about 7 years, I think, when we got there. So be very careful. So he said, when you get the bus, only get the Star Ferry buses, don't get any others. So 5 of us went down. There was always 5 of us for some reason. 5 of us went down. We're looking at the buses. And Andy Davis said, yeah, there's a Star Ferry bus. So we got on it. And on the buses then, everything was wooden seats that moved back or forwards. So we got on the Star Ferry bus, went into town, had a look around, whatever. Gets back. And the staff sergeant said, did you make sure you got the Star Ferry bus? I said, yeah, that's good. It's the only buses out here. So we fell for that. Then we started going on the ferry, going back and forwards like. But we found out that the beer prices and food prices went up every time the Yanks landed. We had a few drinks with some of the Yanks, and the Yanks were telling us, they said, they had all sorts of medals or ribbons on. They get a medal or a ribbon for every different country they land in. Anyway, we were getting on smashing. They have what they call detachments. You get sent out to look after. I done Clearwater Way 1 to Clearwater Way 2, because there's a big long road, and there's a university in the middle. and no one's allowed in. If any people that live there wanted to go to their houses, they've got to show us their pass. No one's walking along. And some of the young women, or the old women as well, have this big bar over their shoulder, and they carry it with the weights and rolling up and down. And I don't know why, but I normally let them go through. They're carrying anything. And this old lady, I stopped her, and she showed me a pass, and I said, "Me, carry." So I got it. And at the weight of a lie, I couldn't stand up with her on my shoulders, never mind move. Couldn't get her up. She gets it, trots away, no problem. Anyway, I went to different, I went to Stanley attachments once, and went to the reservoir. And on the reservoir, they had monkeys used to jump over and try and pinch things like that. So that was a bummer. You couldn't walk around, there was nowhere to walk, you just sat there. But when you're back in the camp, every other night you do walks around. If you're in the camp, you go garden there's the engineer departments, there's the ordnance departments, there's the supply department, things like that, different camps, and we had to guard them overnight. And while we were guarding them, the dogs had to walk around. You had to go to different points, get a key, punch it in. That'll tell you the next morning how many times you walked around the camp and what parts you went and all that. Then Bill Ritter found a way of getting the key to the office where we got the main key for the locks. We took all the locks out, punched all the different parts in, put the key back in, and we played cards in the overnight. But we all went to town one night for a drink, and Gary Ragg was one of the good mates. He'd damaged his leg, so he hobbled a lot, and he had cast on, I think. And we went to this pub, and he'd overcharged us, and we had a bit of a row in the pub. And on the way down, there was a statue at the top of the stairs got smashed, and we went out. And we carried on anyway, nothing was said about that, but we carried on. And we went to another pub, and we were having a drink. And then a few of them went home. And then everything went well. One of the lads was very shy, but he was getting on with one of the women in the pub or club. Anyway, the next morning, the military police come and took Gary Ragg, myself, there was three, another fella. I can't think of it. He came to the wedding, the fella, no, but anyway, they took three of us away and put them in the glass house. We've been charged with demanding money with menaces. We couldn't understand that. Anyway, when we got in the glass house, I'd been writing to your mum at the time. I was writing to her sister, and then she took over. I wrote right to her, and she sent me a photograph. And when I got in the glass house, I got this photo. It was awful. Someone had took her down and showed her how to cut it. You know, and there was a big. I remember in London Road there was a special photographers there. They'd done all the big things. It was well known. But she had a haircut like this. It looked awful. So I ripped it up and threw it away. Anyway, while we were there, we had to obey the army rules. You had to get, your polished tin. You had to scrape all the top of it. Use it as a mirror. You had to get a shave with that. You had to get that completely clear. We were only there 2 days, and then a lot of officials come and took us away and put us in Victoria prison. Well, that was a shock. When we got to Victoria prison, they said it was a Hong Kong thing to sort it out. So they said we'd only be there for a couple of days. Well, after the first week we were there, we'd be downstairs, three of us would be downstairs, and all the prisoners would walk past you to go into their thing. And there was one chap, nicknamed Scarface. He could speak a bit of English. And you had scouse of a morning, porridge of a morning, and if you turned the porridge upside down the dish, it would stay in the dish. It was horrible. And you had a piece of bread and a knob of butter, and that's all you got. Anyway, this Scarface, he pointed it, "You want that?" I said, "No." So he ate it, while we were in the queue, and he said, look, and he showed us, you know, chopsticks. He said, any fighting you do with this, with a chopstick. I said, how? And he turned it round. If you look close, there was a piece of razor blade buried in the thing. And he said, there's lots of fights in there. And I said, how long have you been in? He said, 4 years. I said, how long will you be in? He said, for life. I said, what did you do? He said, I carried an empty pistol. But after the war was over, anyone carrying any arms would get life in prison. That's what he got. And that's all he'd done, he carried that thing. But they were all talking about, you know, the different religions, the Catholics and the Protestants, they'll come and see you and all that. No one came to us. But the Siemens mission, a fella come from the Siemens mission with a ball we could play football with, or basketball, and a chess ball, we played chess. They were the only ones that came to us, because we thought we'd only there for a few days. After the first week, we got shackled feet and hands and got taken over to the law courts. And when we were downstairs in the law courts, one fella was I thought he was asleep like this, and then he'd done this, and then he got this piece of paper I'd never seen it before, and he's sniffing it. And within about 3 or 4 minutes he's saying, what are you here for and all that? If you need any help, here's my name, where you can find me. He was a member of what they called then the Tri Society. They now called it Triads, I think, but it was called the Tri Society. And he said, so if you need any help, help me. Anyway, we goes upstairs and they said suspended, so we had to go back to the prison. Then while we were in prison, our commanding officer and our staff sergeant, they went round the place where we'd been and they were checking up on things. So the following week we went to court, and as we stood in the dock, they said, case dismissed, free to go. So we came out and that commanding officer used to like to brag, he said, no problem, we've sorted it. It seems him and the staff sergeant had gone and they found out that all the things, you know, with people that behind the owners, found out it was a fiddle. He wanted it to keep the licence. And the police could have done all this, but they didn't. And they found out that they'd also done the same thing on Hong Kong side. We were in Kowloon. So when the police found that, they locked them up, and we got set free to go. So we goes back to the camp, and I should have been home 35 days. And Paddy Hollis, that was the other fellow, Paddy Hollis should have been home. But Gary Ragg had time to go, so he was going to fly the two of us home. So we ordered a big party in the night time, we all got blind drunk and whatever. And we said, we'll see you lads. Next morning we goes down to the airport. And this officer said to me, Simon Hollis, I said, yeah, I said, you just can't go. So we've had officers that have took your flight there to get back to England as fast as possible, so come back tomorrow. So we goes back to the camp and we had another bit of a session. Then we goes back the next morning to the thing and they said, sorry, you just can't go. 2 nurses have took your flight. So I said to Paddy Hollis, I'm not going back to the camp again, I feel right idiot. So we went into the YMCA, we stayed there the night. Then we went back the next morning and he said, we got you a flight on a Bristol freighter. We did like a bucket seat where you'd strap yourself in. And we got going, and after we'd been going for about an hour, the captain said, prepare to land. I said to Paddy Hollis, my God, that was quick. We really thought we'd done it, you know. Anyway, we landed in the Philippines, the American Air Base. And as we got out, this American fellow said, come with me, took us to a billet. And he said, by your beds, and they all jumped up, those up there jumped up off the beds and stood by the beds, and he said, I've got 2 limeys here, I want you to give them a good looking after. He said, make sure they get everything they want, take care of them. So they all said, okay. Then the fellow went, so we introduced ourselves and whatever like. And one fellow said, come on, we'll take us to the day room. So maybe you're reading, something like that. So we goes to this day room, we're all sitting there, everyone's sitting there drinking. And there's a hole in the wall, something like the one behind you. And they're going up and they get crates of ale, put it down, and they're passing the ale around with. And one of the Yanks at the back said, 2 minutes. So then they all rushed up, get more crates. And I said, well, what's that all about? He said, watch, the door shuts. And when he opens that door again, he said, you've got to pay the full price. We've been getting that for 10 cents. But if the door opens again, you're paying full price. So I said, okay. the next morning we goes down for breakfast, and I was that probably younger. I must have been younger than my age because I'd never seen what I seen then. In the army where we were, if you wanted your breakfast, you threw an egg and a bit of bacon. That was it. This Yank, he had all the food spread out, and there's a fella standing behind the chef. Said, "What would you like?" And he pointed what you want, and he put on your plate, whatever. And while he was doing that, I looked to me right, and there was a fella with a glass. He stuck it in this machine and pressed the button, and it filled with orange juice. I went, "My God, what's that?" So I said to him, "What's that?" He said, "That's what you must have it at home." I said, "Never seen it before." He said, "Well, do you want milk, orange juice, or water?" The different machines, but think and press the button and get it. I'd never seen anything like that before. Oh, come on. Me and Paddy always said, "Isn't that brilliant? This is good, this." So we had our breakfast, and then we went back to the thing. They were showing us around the base. And in the Philippines, there was you're driving along a road, this air base, and there's a thing saying stop. Even if there's nothing in your way, you have to stop at the sign and carry on. But I said, "There's nothing there." You still do it. So they said to us, "Do you want to come to our in the British Army, they have the NAFI. The Yanks had what they call a KP. So they took us to this place for the KP. When we got in, I'd never seen tellies before. They had little screens all over the place. And the Yank said, "Do you want a woman for the night?" And I said, "No thanks." No, I didn't want a woman for the night. No, he said, "The Filipino women will sit by you and she'll tell you their life story. You can tell her yours and whatever, just to chat." I said, "No, you're okay." So we had quite a few drinks, gets back to the base. And what surprised us was their beds were gorgeous, proper sheets and everything, really like silk sheets, really good. And then when we're getting up in the morning, the fella said, "Come on, Limeys, you're going home." So we got loads of addresses to write, promised to write to them and all that. And they took us to the airport. We got on the plane, and we'd been going for about an hour, and the captain said, "Getting ready to land." I said, "Well, I know for a fact that we're not at home yet." Anyway, we landed at Singapore, and they took us to the transit camp again where we'd been before, and we booked in, and the fella said, "You're on duty tonight." So I'd only just booked in, so I had to go to the main office, and as new recruits are arriving, you sign them in and get the names and addresses and all that. And I was doing that, and then he said, "Paddy Hollis is going home, but you're not." Paddy Hollis was a 2-year man, I was a 3-year man, so they flew him home, and then later on I got on a plane and came home, and when I was coming home, I was on the plane. He said he was a sergeant, and he had his wife and his son with him. He had 2 cameras on. His son had a camera. They had watches all over them. The cheap stuff you can get out there, all that. And when we got to London, we're going through the customs, and I had a camera. And the fella said, "Have you got any money on you?" I said, I've got £6. And he went, "Go through that and count it," because the camera was it was a Nikon. You hadn't seen many Nikons though. And I got through, and as I get back on the bus to take us to the place where we're going, this fella with all the cameras and all that, he got on and he was effing and blinding and this, that and the other. And there was an old chap I'd been sitting next to, and he stood up and he said, "Are you a private sergeant?" I said, "I'm a sergeant." He said, "Well, Sergeant, shut up, stand to attention." He said, I think he was a lieutenant colonel or something. And he said this, he showed him a watch, and it was inscribed from his company to him as a memorial for him. Remember, he said, "I paid, because it's gold, I paid for that. As I go into the custom, I had to pay a certain amount. You've got all this junk on you, and you're worrying about it." But it's not right, no. Anyway, we all got different buses then to wherever we were going. And I knew that one of my mates lived in London, and he told me the address. So when I got down to this, we got down to this big room, and there's, like if there's a flood, you see people on the floor in beds. That's what it was like. I got on one of these beds, and Paddy Hollis had told me that he'd pick me up. But I thought, well, mate, I'll go and look for the mate. So I went down. I'll never forget, it was called 13th Street. And I went to try and find this street. And the number at the door, there was no house there, and I asked this woman, she said that had been bombed for years and that. So, never did find him, come back, and I gets back. Paddy Hollis came, picked me up. Oh no, I got back, taken back to the camp, and as I'm walking with the camp, you know, your bag and all that, I'm going through the thing, and some lads caught us. Where are you going? I said, I'm going through. Stand to attention, stand to attention. I was not pissed off, I just said, you can, whatever. And he went, oh, right, I'm taking to the RSM. So I followed him up to the RSM door, stood there. He goes in and he tells the RSM. And then the RSM in the army is the one person, you don't worry about officers, the RSM is the bee's knees. Anyway, he come out and he had to come in, Jimmy! And picked me up and shook me. When did you get back? I said, just now. Come in. You, he says, go over and get Sergeant, oh, I can't think his name either. Anyway, Osborne, go and get Sergeant Osborne. And he said, come in, Jimmy, sit down. He said, I was telling him what happened up there. He said, are you all right now? I said, yeah, I'm fine now. And then Hollis come in, he said, what are you doing with your gear? I said, what do you mean? He said, are you keeping your boots or you're handing them in? I said, I'm handing them in. He said, what about the rest of your gear? Are you getting the mob suit or the £7? I said, I love the £7. He said, well, can I have your boots and shorts? And I give all my gear to him. And he said to me, I found out about the monkey, because we went to his wedding, and with the woman he married in Hong Kong, we had a big parade, and all the dogs were there on parade for his wedding. But she had a monkey. And he said, I found out about the monkey. He said, I'm glad that happened to him. Because we were on, what detachment we were on? I think we were on Stanley. And this woman he was going to marry, she had this monkey and we had to look after it. And he used to get you know when the dogs are tied up and you're grooming them, and you step away, go up and they pinch the dogs underneath. And the dogs would be howling and snarling and whatever. And then it got into in each detachment, you had enough paint to keep your little detachment. There's only 4 of you there. To keep that spick and span, you have to do all your paint the rocks, anything that was on the floor, you painted it white. Anyway, what was it? Taffy became my best man. Taffy said, has he attacked you during the night? I said, last night. Lifts your mutton net up, pulls the air off your chest. God, the agony. And anyway, it finished up. I went into a water pot with the lid on, and it died. And when we went to the wedding, and we were all talking about them, oh yes, it's all right, but it was only when I got home that he said, I found out what happened to the dog. I said, made up. He said it was a bleeding nuisance.
So when you were in Hong Kong, did you go, is that where you made the horses, there in Hong Kong?
No, just dogs. When I first went there, they gave me a dog called Ricky. I had Ricky. And Ricky was the type of dog that could go to anyone, as long as we were English. It smelt Chinese, he'd go berserk with anyone. So I had him, I was on guard. We'd done so many guards to the vehicle depot and all them depots. We had chains of police doing them. And if you were on guard that night, you had to prepare the dogs' food, and the dogs had A1 meat in the canteen. I believe we got B, lesser. So when you cut them, you used to cut a steak off and fry it when we were on guard. And while you're on guard, it sounds ridiculous, but when you're on guard, people used to come along the fence and you want to buy ice creams or whatever, you know. So we'd say, well, we're not allowed money on, but give you a note. So I was Tom Mix a few times, and well, twice I was Tom Mix and things like that, and you get the ice cream or whatever they were selling. And then you'd never paid them. I don't know what happened, but it happened quite a lot. And when we were on vehicle depot, one of the lads said, I'll teach you how to drive, so I got on a Jeep. I think I've got a photo upstairs when we were on the Jeep. The dog's on the front, I'm trying to drive around. It wasn't very good. And then we went to the ordnance place, and they had the big, I think it was Scamels they called it, really big wagons. And I sat on the front, by the way I was driving it like that. And it moved about 3 foot, got out, walked away. Next morning they want to know, has anyone been touching the vehicles on the thing? Whatever. But it's stupid things like that. But it was a good life.
So how long did you have Ricky for?
I had Ricky for about 6 months, and then there was our commanding officer was an Australian, and then there was a dog there, Snowy, and there was an Australian lad looked after it. It was a part dingo, part Alsatian, pure white, and this Australian, I can't remember his name either, he was going home, so he said to me, do you want to take over Snowy? I said, yeah, okay. So when you're taking a dog over then, they lock you in the compound, everyone's just wire fence, and you go in the compound and walk around with them with 2 muzzles on. And you take one muzzle off, walk around a bit more. And then you have to let them know outside that you're going to take the last muzzle off, take the muzzle off, walk around, no problem. Take the lead off, and he walks around and he comes back in, put the lead on, off again, no problem at all. And then the fellow that was going home came to the fence. Goodbye, Snowy. Well, that was it then. He went right at me, and I jumped on top of the kennel, stayed there, so they put him back in the thing. What they do then, they have a long pole with a wire going through it. They put it over the dog's neck, then they lead him, and then they put muzzles on him there. So I had to go through it all again. We never got back with all of them. And after that, I had Snowy all the time then. And when I was coming home, when you come home, if like, for instance, Bill Riordan's dog, Hyam, he had a dog called Hyam, and when he went home before me. The fella that tried to take Hyam over couldn't get him. He wouldn't settle. He'd attack it. As soon as he took a muzzle off, it would attack wherever it was. Excuse me. So they had to put it down. So if the dog doesn't take to the next handler, they have to put them down, and Hyam got put down. And then when I was preparing Snowy for the parade and that, even that sounds, when you think of it now, you have a Queen's Parade, and each company, they have a certain tune that plays as you're walking past saluting. Ours was Wagons Roll or something. Anyway, we went down for a practice, and as we're going down, the Chinese are very curious. They used to pack, although they know the dogs are there, like, no muzzles on, they push close. So the commanding officer said, now and again, Sime, give the dog a bit of lead. You let the lead is in your right hand, and you have a controller with the left hand. Lead, go for some of them, and then you don't back off them to give you room to go through. As we're going through, this is the parade, the first sound, a test that it was, prelude to the main one. As we're going past the saluting base, Snowy stopped and done his business, while everyone else keeps marching. So I finished up at the back, because we had 3 white dogs in the front. I finished up at the back. So we get back to the assembling area, and the major ran, well, he was a captain, he wanted to always be a major. He had a major's thing in his drawer. He became a major just before he came home, but he said to me, Sime, don't worry about it, that will never happen again. And he put it in the paper, the local Chinese paper, the big photograph of the dog stopping. I never did get it. Anyway, the following week, we go down, we've done it all, everything went well, going past the saluting base, he stopped again, and done the same thing again. Unbelievable. Anyway, we all go back to the assembling area, got on the trucks, and I went back. And the commanding officer was saying, I don't understand it, I don't understand it. But he loved the dog because he was Australian, part Australian, and as far as he was concerned, nothing could be wrong with the dog. But if you got bitten, you had to go you could get 14 needles in your stomach. One of our sergeants went home just before me, I can't remember his name either. He'd been bitten years before, and they have a lot, you know, they get where the dogs are afraid of anything that's when they water, they attack them. I can't remember what it's called now. It's a disease that you get.
Rabies.
Rabies. Well, if you got bitten by a dog, you had to go and report it. So I got bitten. I took Snowy to a guard on his own one night. He had to guard this ammunition dump locked up, and I had him all ready for the parade. It was Snow White. When he come out, he was filthy. I thought, oh, bleeding hell. I pushed him and put me back to him, pulled him, and he hit me in the back. So I had to go to the doctors and tell the doctor. And the dog have a tag to show you that they've had all the injections in it. So he said, oh, you're all right, no problem. But if anything else bit you, then you're in for trouble, because the rabies was bad then. But as I say, it was good. Good life. The detachments you went on, when you look back at it, it wasn't right to ask people to show past where they lived. And then on February the 2nd, it used to be their, from where it still is, it used to be their New Year. And we were invited to come down to one of the little villages there. They invited us down. And we went down, and they were serving us different meals, and I didn't. I said, well, I don't want anything, I'm just looking around. And I think Paddy Ellis had something to eat, and we come home. And the next morning, they have what they call a so-so man. He stitches any odds and things in. And he had a lot of pups, and I used to take one swimming with me and Snowy. And I said to him, where's Blackie? He went, do you have the dogs? And there's out there, if you go in the toilet, you could be in the toilet, and they're all wooden things like, and you could be halfway through whatever you're doing, and the women used to come take the bucket away, take it to the thing, wash it, and put it back again. And if you're in the shower, they come in to wash the buckets. Well, if it was the other way round, like you were actually getting a shower and they come in washing the buckets, and they'd all be pointing at you and grinning and whatever, like, then they'd go out again. And on the hills, they had the pots, like you'd have like a flower pot with a top on, all over the hills. Because what they did, they buried their people, and after so many years, they dig the bones up and put them in these pots, and put these pots all over the hills. That's the way they preserve them. It was weird. And I believe they done it, someone was telling me last year when I was away, they do it somewhere else, I don't know where else they do. But it's a thing they did then. And that you could, if you wanted to insult a Chinese fella, tell me he's fat or whatever, ugly or anything like that, no problem. You insult his grandmother or his relations, and they really get wound up then. Because when we were guarding Clearwater Way 1, there used to be a car used to come through, and I said, you're a taxi? Oh no taxi. So I said to the people, come out. So all the people got out. They were going down the hill anyway to their village. And he was waiting for the money, but they'd all gone then. Anyway, the next night, come again. So there was a Scotch fella, Todd, I think his name was. He could drive. I couldn't drive, but he could drive. And we went up in the hills and found his car. He took then it was the part, they take a certain part of the car that can't go. I can't remember what that was called. Defibrillator, something like that. He took out the car so he can't drive it. Next morning he drove past us. But no one was doing, but he kidded us. But months later, I was on Clearwater Bay 2, and I'd been into town, and I wanted to get back into Clearwater Bay 2. So I was looking around for a taxi. I went down this road where there's a few old built-up areas, and there's a taxi. And I said, taxi? He said, me nor a taxi. Same fella. I said, you're a taxi? He said, no, I'm not taxi. I said, well, I'm on Clearwater Bay 2, and I want to go there. I take you, okay. I said, all right. So he took me back to the camp, and he's still convinced that he was giving people a lift, but that was the weirdest way of doing it. But we had the Gurkhas on the front gate, and there was a rumour going round, and when the Gurkha draws that thing, the carved sword, you've got to draw blood. It was all crappy things. Then we had a football, we were playing football, we were doing well. We were playing them twice, I think. We won twice. And then because of the trouble with the night before I got from prison, I couldn't play. They got through to the semi-final, and then the commanding officer found out about it, and he said, no more football, because if one of you get injured, who looks after your dog? You can't go through all the process of putting muzzles on and getting someone else to take, because they have their own dogs. So they stopped any sport at all. You weren't allowed to do it. Would it go? Well, when I came home, I hadn't seen your mum. I'd been writing to her. So I went. As I come out the station, I was freezing. So I crossed over to the Burton's and got an overcoat, but it was an overcoat that was really long. So I got the overcoat, and my mum moved from place to place, so I didn't know where she was living. So I said to the taxi driver, do you know where, I can't remember the name now, it's where, you know where the university is, up there. So when I went there and knocked on the door, my mum come run down a path and hugs and kisses and that. She said, she was living in a flat then. And then when I got ready at the next day, I went up and seen Betty and Tony, and they're all up in Highton, like, they're all over me and all that. And then the following day I went down to see who is now your mum. And she was sitting on a step with a young lad. And I said, can you tell me if you're Hilda? She said, I am. I said, I'm Jimmy. Oh, come in. We went in. Well, we were poor growing up, but you have never seen your mother's house. It was terrible. They had a sink, and under the sink was a big hole, and it stayed like that, you know what I mean? And Tommy, your grandfather, he used to breed birds and things like that. And whenever they had a bottle empty, just throw it down the hole. Well, a year later, I called in with your mum. After we'd been married, we went down to see the parents. And someone was down the hall passing the bottles up, because there was a thing then, you get a penny for every bottle you find, so they were taking bottles back and things like that. Anyway, we put a new floor cloth, then it was, in the apartment me and your mum had. And the lady said, seeing as you've improved the apartment, you can have the top one, where your brother used to have. So we had the top one. And we had a water geyser. And you know, to get a bath, and there was a bath there. And it took just around 3/4 of an hour to get enough water in a bath. To get a bath, it just dripped in, you know, the warm water. And I looking for a job, and I started in the abattoir, all open bones and things like that, making lard. We would do it. And when I was coming home, I had to get on the bus, get the bus home, whatever. And there's a lot of Vernon's girls always on the same bus overnight. And when I got on the bus, you could see them all going, you know, sniffing and whispering, you know, smelling. And I always tried to sit next to some old person. And a few of the girls turned round and they'd go, I went. Anyway, so they thought he couldn't help it, you know what I mean? So when I got in, I had to get a bath, whatever like. And it took ages to get the bath. And we had a brand new tablecloth every night. It was either the news of the world or the people spread out. And we were married for 13 months. And first of all, when you get married then, them days, people are whispering, you know, you must have had to get married, you know, you must have had to get married. But after a while, there must be something wrong with Hilda, so you can't have kids, something like that. Well, after 13 months, I took her to the doctors. And with the doctors then, they knocked all the houses round. It was just the doctor's place standing. And he said to Mum, well, I don't know whether it's good news or not, but you're pregnant. We came out and we were dancing and dancing. And I said, come on, I took her to the pictures, to the Hippodrome to see the movie on the pictures. And we were ecstatic. And then she went into Mill Road to have Paul. And in them days, you had to stay in for 10 days then. And when she come home, we were, you know, all ecstatic looking after him, well, God knows what, with Paul. But when Paul was born, I was in the house of my own, and we had a fireplace set up with all the ashes and bread and papers and things like that, all things that you need to light the fire. Anyway, I woke up, must have been about 5 o'clock. The screen in front of the fire flew on the floor. All the ashes and the things come scattering all over the room. Well, I'm a coward. I got up, got dressed, run out into back Guildford Street where we were living in Guildford Street. Walked up and down, waiting. Anyway, I found a phone, and Paul had been born about near enough the time that had the ashes and all this business. And I don't know whether it was that connection, but it was, as you know, it was what's the name, wasn't it? The date, the 29th of October. Oh, yeah. Halloween. Anyway, as Paul was we were looking after Paul, and I was going to work. And Paul was always into everybody else's house. And there was one family called the Files. He'd go in there and have his dinner and come on in, he wouldn't eat when he come in. And from when he was 4, he'd go anywhere he wanted. He'd get lost, as he said, and go to the police station, tell the police he was lost, so the police would give him a few sweets and a drink of orange juice and bring him home. Then when Jacqueline was born, my mum and all them coming in, we had Jacqueline sitting on a chair like this with all cushions around, pillars around her, all chopped in. And everyone that came in, they said, do you know what, Hilda? She's an angel. She's a pure angel. My mum, Betty and all my family, and the neighbours came in. Oh, she's gorgeous. She's an angel. And then, as you know, we lost. I was working over in the Wirral, and the gang had come to me and he said, you've got to go home. I said, I want to finish this job first. He said, no, you've got to go home now. Sir Brammer was working with me. He said, Jimmy, you've got to go home. I said, just tell me why. He said, look, go home. So I came home, and when I came walking down the street, there was a lot of people around the house. And when I went into the living room, my mum wouldn't go anywhere near me. She was crying her eyes out. She said, I've killed a baby. It seems when she found Jacqueline dead in a cot, she ran into the street and said she killed a baby. So she had to go to court. And they found out that Jacqueline died with a cot death. There was a thing then, a lot of kids were dying with cot death. And the thing about it was, your mum had got given this rocking thing for to sleep in, and your mum didn't like it because it was green. But when Jacqueline died, your mum went to the cemetery. But I'd come home for a good month, and your mum was never there. She used to stay in the cemetery all the time. And one of it was Tommy and Eliza's relation. Her son died in the next grave. So your mum used to say, go there and talk to her, and the mum was giving her all the help she got. And your mum didn't want to know, she didn't do her own cooking, nothing. She was whacked, she was really out of it. Anyway, she got over that, and from that day on, she will never go to the cemetery unless it's a special occasion. I mean, I used to go to the cemetery once a month for Jacqueline and Michael, and she said, no, we're not going no more. But when Lynn was born, and then you had to go and get the midwife. So I went down to the midwife one time and I said, it's ready, Mary. So she said, okay, I'll come up on my bike. And she come up Ayrstone Street, and it's like that. She come up, parked the bike outside and went up. She was there for about 10 or 15 minutes. She come down and said, no, not yet, Jimmy, not yet. She's okay. So I went up and said to your mum, you're okay? She said, yeah, I've got some pain. The midwife said, it's not today. So she was okay. About a week later, I went down and got the midwife again. The midwife went up, she come down. She said, no, Jimmy, not today. A week later, the third time, your mum was overdue, I think to call it. Well, she come again. And then I'm sitting on the stairs, and I had a habit with the army of pulling my boots, and I'm pulling my boots up, and then I heard her crying. So when I went up, Liv was born. So the midwife said, that's it now. So the next day when I'm getting dressed to go out on a Sunday, one shoe was gleaming and one was dull. I'd only done the one boot. I was wearing boots then. Anyway, when we was to take Paul and Lynn out when they got a bit older, like that, I'd go to work, and on a Thursday I'd be walking down what we call Back Guildford Street, and they'd come rushing towards me, the pair of them, and put their hands in my pockets as I'm walking along. So I was after pocket money. They'd only get coppers, but to get pocket money. So after a while, there was a shop facing us where you could get credit and I'd pay him the weekend. And I went into Tommy Madden's, I went into Tommy, I said, how much do you owe you, Tom? And he said, it was like £4 something. I said, what for? He said, well, you've been sending your lad over for getting wagon wheels every day. So I got to Paul, I said, I've got Paul. I said, Paul, what's this about wagons? He said, oh, they're smashing that. Where did you get them from? Off the shop. What did you say to the man in the shop? My dad wants wagon wheels. I said, I didn't want them. He said, no, but you would have liked them. So, yeah, the wagon wheels. So I said, Tommy, don't give them nothing now. Oh, must have been about 6-7 months later on. I said I was getting ready to go out. We're going to a dance presentation. And June was going to mind the kids, her and her mate. Mind the 2 kids. And I said, I need a razor. So I said, nip over and ask Tommy Madden for a razor. Because we should have a blade then. Yeah. He's walking out with the paper offer going like this with the razor squeezing it in his hand. Your mother went mad. Don't ever ask him to do a thing like that again. So we went to the dance presentation. But in them days, the women wore all sorts of frilly things and the skirts stuck right out. And I said to Mum, before we go down, we'll have a few throws at the board and across the road, the Guildford Vaults. We went in there, and your mum started throwing darts, and one went too high, and when she beat to get it up, a skirt shot up, and there was a deaf and dumb lad who used to drink there, and he nearly spoke, because all your mother's bloomers were shown. Anyway, we found out then that every time we were on a bus, your mum wouldn't go upstairs, because if we went upstairs, his skirts were up, and all the men followed the young girls up the stairs. But we done well then. Went to the training school to train, and I got £6, 6 shilling a week. I give your mum £6, I had 6 shilling. And she managed marvellous with it. But Grandad Sime, he lived in a parlour then, and he wanted cod dinners, and he used to give her 10 bob a week, and I think twice a week she'd have to big steak of cod, do the cod for him. And with Grandad Sime having the parlour, he still used the back kitchen. There was a back kitchen there, and a dolly tub, you're washing the clothes and that. Whenever your mum put water on to make bottles for the baby and things like that, he'd go out and get the water and get a shave and put the kettle, the cup, and your mum would be panicking then. Tell him not to do that, tell him not to do that. So whenever your mum was feeding the baby and Grandad Sime's walking out, he'd lean over and go, good God, you don't get many of them in a pound. Your mum's breast. But other than that, that was the only thing he said. Anyway, one day I said to your mum, the ceiling's terrible, I'm going to pay for it. She said, can you? I said, yeah. So we cleaned the table. Got one piece trying to get up and it kept on coming off. And when I looked around, Grandad Sime standing at the door like that going, and he said, get down, go and get a yard brush. So I got a yard brush. He got the paper that we'd spent, I think it was about £1.20 cent. £1.10 he paid for this paper. He got it, looking up the ceiling, started cutting pieces, pasting them and putting all the pieces to the side. And I thought, this is going to turn out bad. And he stood on a table, put the paste there, got the brush, went right across, and he'd done the whole lot in about 15 minutes, spot on. And he just got down, he said, no, that's it now, walked down. It was brilliant. Well,
then, is that your granddad?
Yeah, Grandad Sime.
Is that your dad's dad?
Yeah. And then whenever Joey was racing, Grandad Sime used to follow him to meetings and places like that. And then they went to Doncaster one time, and Grandad Sime had won quite a lot of money. This is what Grandad Sime was telling me. He said, I won quite a lot of money in them days, he said. And I said to your Uncle Joe, I'm going to back yours in the next race. And Joey said, Dad, don't. Horse has been fired, it's not expected to go very well. Okay, lad. We backed Doug Smith. Well, the outcome was Joe won the race. And Grandad Sime never spoke to him for about 3 or 4 months, he said. But in Grandad's house, they had a booth, big thick booth, And then they had all sorts of different games in that booth. You could play all sorts of games with this booth. And they had an album of all the races that Joey won and all that, things like that. And then as I got a bit older, when I wanted to go to racing when I was a kid, and Paul R. Arthur, he was my eldest brother, he went in Erskine Street and he was working for like a butcher's and like a store that sold everything. And he come home one day, he said, the boss in my place said he's going to send someone up to see you about going to the racing. Because Grandad Sime said, don't ever go on your uncle's name, go on your own bat. Then one day a police constable knocked on the door in Civies, and he said, I'm Constable such and such. And he said, you want to go racing? And I said, yeah. He said, yeah, it's £10. You're going tomorrow to Newmarket, and you got the train. When you get on the train, you can have something to eat. That's all sorted. So then I went to ride for Armstrong then. And we were doing well. And then I was that well that Thompson Jones used to be Armstrong's assistant trainer. And then he started training for himself. He took Tom Long's over. And he said, I want to transfer, because when you're in stables, after a certain while, you have to sign your indentures. So I signed my indentures, and then Thompson Jones said, come and ride for me. So I went riding for him then. And then I was riding a horse called Croquet Light, and it used to win 6 or 7 races every year. Small races, but it won races. And I was taking it on the gallop one time, and he said, take it through the gallop and give it a good tryout. So while I was on the gallop, I heard a woman screaming behind me, screeching. So I eased up and pulled off to the side, because Croquet Light used to toss its head around, and it took a lot of holding, So I got up the side. It was Lester Piggott come up behind me, and he couldn't speak. He had no roof in his mouth. And they told him that he'd get thrown out of racing if he didn't leave his father's place. Hydes, he came to ride for another trainer then, Rockfield, I think. Anyway, when I went back over to Armstrong's to get my gear, Armstrong said to me, what are you doing? I said, I'm just getting my gear, Governor, to take it over to Mr. Thompson. While you're here, get this horse out, get your horse out, take him in the paddock and exercise him, because he's had been fired. So I said, okay. So as I'm getting ready, he caught Wally Swinburne, who was only a kid then, still at school, and he had him by the ear. He said, I'll teach you to sex school. And he said, you, forget that, go and take goggles out. Goggles hadn't been out for about 4 days. So I goes into the stable, the saddles are up, and takes it into the paddock, and he locked the paddock down. I must have got thrown about 3 times, then I got dragged. So I went to the hospital, and then, well, to cut a long story short, I was in hospital for quite a while. And then when I came out of hospital, I started having blackouts. So then they said, you can't go racing with blackouts. So they gave me a pension of 11 shilling a month for a year, and then it was 8 shilling a month for the following year, and that was it then, that's all I got. And then me and your mum managed on what we could, and then we got offered a house up here, we moved in here. And when we moved in, there was electric wiring all over the house, which was rare in them days. And everything, when the corporation took over, before we moved in, corporation cut all the wiring out, so we couldn't use it. So we had no, the coalman said, I'll definitely bring the coal up, which he didn't. So we had slight, them windows which you push up, push one of them up. We were clearing everything out the thing to get the fire going, because we had a big iron grate then. And then, cut a long story short, we finally got another coalman that's got coal. And I had to get up early in the morning to light the fire for Paul, Lynn and Debbie to get ready for school. But when the girls, the 3 of them had come down early, but the girls would sit in front of the fire before it was lit, like this, waiting for it to light. I hadn't even put the stuff in there. So I'd light it, and they would shout, Dad, put the shovel up. Well, in them days, if you put a shovel in front of the fire and a piece of paper across, through the fire, so the fire lit up much quicker. And while the mother and me are telling him to go get ready for school, oh, it's cold, and it was freezing in this house then. Of a morning, the ice would be on the inside of the window, all over the windows.
Is that here?
In here, yeah, it was terrible. Anyway, years later we had Michael, and then when we had Michael, he said he had. I was working in Old Swan, and I got a phone call. You've got to go to Alderhay Hospital. So I went to the hospital, and he was sitting outside crying. So what's up? She said, there's something wrong with Michael, something bad. So I went in, and the doctor said he's going to have to go to Myrtle Street Hospital. There's something bad wrong with his heart. So he transferred him to Myrtle Street, and after a few tests, he said he's got a hole in his heart, and something else wrong with his heart. So we did then. Your mum would go down of a day and sit with Michael, and I'd come home from work. I'd go down, and then your mum would come home. Your mum would have to come home early. I used to knock off early, as many as I can, as often as I could. And then your mum would go home to look after Paul, Lynn and Debbie. Anyway, after a while, there was one time when I went down, Paul, Lynn and Debbie came down. No, Paul and Lynn came down to see Michael. Not sure whether Debbie was there or not. And he screamed, and he didn't want anyone near him, you know. And they brought toys, because it was near Christmas time, they brought things for him. Anyway, we went down one day, and I said to Mum, yeah, you go and see to the kids, and I'll look after Michael. But whenever I nursed Michael, he got all agitated, and the nurse said, you're transferring your anxiety to him, he's getting him all upset. So I used to sit by the bed and just hold his hand, and that was it. And then, yeah, I said to your Mum, you go and see the kids and I'll stay with Michael, which I did. And then the doctor come and put him in a net, you know, air thing. And he said that he's not going to last much longer. But we didn't have phones then, couldn't get a phone. So I was hoping your Mum would come down. Anyway, your Mum came in, and as your Mum came in and held his hand, he gave her a big smile, and then he died then. And then, as soon as that happened, they ushered us out quick into a side room. They didn't want anyone getting upset or because the baby had died. And then we buried him in the church with his grandparents. But what we didn't know, when Jacqueline was buried, we didn't know what was going on then. But the members that we knew well was the people called Coins. They owned a pub, and they'd started a funeral business. So my mum said, look, don't worry about it, you're all upset, I'll take care of it. So she seen and it was Tommy Coyne. They came up with the coffin and all that, and buried Jacqueline. And we didn't know then that she'd been buried in a grave, what they call a pauper's grave, with 2 other babies. We didn't know that then. And it was many years later, your Mum tried to find out where the grave was, because she couldn't remember. And we got a letter off the cemetery people, and they told us the number and where it was, and that's why haven't been going down there and seeing that. But when you were born, I went down to Malton Hospital, and your Mum was in there. She was there for 2 days, and then late at night, your Mum said, will you take these clothes off? I had a small suitcase, take these clothes off and bring me some fresh linen in. I said, okay, yeah. And I said, how is he? She said, he's smashing, no bother. Okay. So I goes down to the hospital, and I'm on the main road, starting to walk home. The police car pulled up. What have you got in that bag, that case? I said, baby, women's underclothes and so just come out the hospital. Open it. And I was in the right mood. I said, no, you open it. And the other policeman was saying to him, take it easy with it. No, you open it. So when he opened it, he said, it's all dirty stuff. I said, I told you that. My son's just been born. Oh, well, we've got to check. And we'll come on. So they drove away. There was a taxi parked there, and the taxi driver shouted to me, he said, where do you live, lad? I said, Scar Green. He said, well, I'll take you up to the pub. You know, the top that used to be up the top there. I can't remember what that was called now. Remember on the top of where?
The Western?
The Western. No, not the Western, the other one up here. As you go up the...
Oh, the Crown.
The way?
The Crown.
The Crown. Well, he said, I'll drop you off for the Crown. Well, when you were born, you were special because we'd lost Michael, and you were like Michael all over, you know what I mean? And everyone fussed over you and whatever, like that. But then your mum said, you're going to have the snip. I said, I can't have the snip. No, all macho. No, it's not doing that. So she said, well, I'll have to go and have it done. So she'd seen the doctor, she went in the hospital and she had the operation. And she came home and she was in terrible agony. She said, Jim, I'm in terrible pain. I said, it's not like that, we'll go back. So we went back to the hospital. But when we got into the hospital, we hadn't waited long. They called her in right away. And the consultant said, Mrs. Sime, and I said, yeah. He said, first of all, let me apologise profusely. He said, when they had the operation, they've sewn one of your tubes to the wrong place. That's what's causing the pain. So I'd like it to stay in now. He said, I'm not ready. He said, no, I'd like it to stay in now. We can do the operation again, and I guarantee all your pain will go, we'll sort it out. So he said, what am I going to do? I said, you have to do what they said, stay in. So he stayed in for one night. I came home the next morning, and she said all the pain had gone. That was it, all gone. But your mum went through some terrible things, you know, she really suffered. I mean, just after we got married, when we moved up here, we'd been in here about a month, and there was a knock on the door, front door. And the fellow said, have you moved in now? I said, who are you? He said, I'm Dr. Sluman, have you got a doctor? He said, no, well you have now. You're registered with me. You don't have to see that. So we said, okay, where's your surgery? He told where the surgery was. So that was sorted out. And then your mum got a disease in her gums. And they said, she's going to have all the teeth out. So she had all the teeth taken out. And then 2 days later, she kept on bleeding. So we went back over and seen her. At the time, we seen Dr. Woods. And Dr. Woods said, that's a terrible thing. They were giving us something to stop the bleeding. Well, when I looked in your mum's mouth, I passed out. They were looking after me more than he was looking after your mum. Anyway, he said, you have to get false teeth. Well, I never seen your mum then. She'd never open her mouth in front of me. Whether that's because I passed out or what. But I said, it's not that bad, girl. She said, no, she would never. She'd talk and do everything else and have trouble eating. Anyway, she had her teeth. They made her some teeth, but they didn't fit properly. Second lot fitted. And from that day on, I had never seen your mother without teeth. She went in hospital for some other procedure where they put tubes down your throat and whatever, and they had to put her to sleep. And she said to the doctor, when I wake up, make sure my teeth are back in before my husband sees me. So he said, we will. So when they moved her into this little room to rest before you go home, she's like this, you know, you've got your teeth in it. And I said, don't worry about it. No, I made sure to put my teeth in. Where's my bag? She always had this bag. I said, I don't know. And the nurse said, it's underneath. She told the doctor, make sure my bag's there. I don't want anyone touching my bag. So she got a bag. But when your mum was growing up, she was, I mean, as I say, they were very poor. I mean, when I asked her dad, could we get married? He said, oh, I couldn't afford it. He said, anyway, if you want to marry Hilda, you'll have to pay me 7 and 6. So I said, okay. I said, but I'll pay for the wedding. So your mum started saving up in town for the wedding dress. I think she paid 12 guineas for the wedding dress in the end. She used to put 3 shilling and 4 shilling. And then we had the wedding, and when we had the reception again when your mum passed away, you know, the reception for when they were after the funeral in the same place. But
in Anfield.
Your mum had some terrible pain, never complained.
Where did you get married?
Pardon?
Where did you get married?
We got married in St Polycarp's.
Only you can make all this change in me, for it's destiny. When do you